My name is Barbara Sternberg. I live in Toronto and I make experimental films and videos. I didn't set out to make experimental films. It wasn't that I now identified myself as a filmmaker and identified myself as a genre filmmaker. I really, truly just had ideas and worked them out, perhaps more influenced because the people I was working with at the Community Arts Centre were visual artists, and so they would take an idea, they would find the medium or the means at which to express it, and I did the same thing, only I did it in film. Experimental, I think, is meant to allude to or refer to the innovativeness or sometimes technical innovation or formal innovation that experimental film has. But within the other genres, I think one could comfortably compare narrative filmmaking to the novel, documentary film to the essay in writing, and that would leave experimental film, I think, as most akin to poetry. And there are many forms that poetry takes, many lengths that a poem can be, and similarly in experimental film, once you lose the constraints of narrative, the narrative conventions, and the constraints of veracity in documentary, you can then look at all the possibilities that film, the medium in its totality, has to offer. I think of my films as being experiential, and I hope that they are experiential from a number of perspectives. One, I think that for me, rhythm in the shooting and in the editing are very important, and I think that people experience the films bodily. We don't just see work and then it goes to our brains so that we intellectualize, we read films. I don't want my films to be read only. I want them to be experienced bodily, and I think that the editing rhythms and the subject, water, crashing, waterfalls, close-ups, there's a number of things that give one an experience of the film while watching it. Also, I think that my films are experienced over time. They take time to develop. It's not something that's singular, that I've often tried to shorten some of my films and find that you can't just go from here to here. You can't put those together. You need the experience of moving along, to quote the cliche, the journey, but I really think it is, the journey of the film. And even if at the end of it you can't exactly say, this film was about this film said that, that's fine with me. But somewhere in you, something has happened, you felt it, and people have come up to me, much later on, sometimes years later, and said, that this shot came back to me, or I was thinking about that, or this has stayed with me. So I think that there are many ways of experiencing a film other than simply feeling that we have to be able to put into words what the film said.